going against all odds.
According.
There's in its very structure, it has it 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 could it could have an affinity towards godliness. In that which the very life that's given to it, however minute it is, nonetheless it's in the grasp of it to, like you said, to be bittul to it, and maybe even to have a sense of it. Or that's too strong to have a
That's
sense
too
of it.
strong. But to be bottled, to be it's kafir. That is what's possible.
All due to this miyut ma'od.
The meat miyot is right. Meat miyot is only making it possible to communicate with nefesh. It does not affect the beetle. Then the beetle we have to specifically work on it.
And the statement that this is my Father in heaven who decreed upon me, this is a statement of the Nefesh HaBahamis?
No, this is a statement of a nefesh Elokis that tells the nefesh Habahamis that this is what it should follow. All right. Okay, so let's start, so to speak, from the beginning of this principle, so we can go through it. 4 lines from the top on Samachal. Rag Hansham. Only the Nisham. Ruchnius and Gashmius have no commonality. And therefore, it is not possible that the Ruchni should be mislabish in the Guf and Nefesh Habahamis. Mislabish means that should be the Nefesh Habahamis should, and the Guf should be like the Ruchni. That's not possible. Only the Neshama, the Yois Muvdal or the Yois Saw Muvdal Be'erech, being that it is Muvdal Be'erech, it is totally in a different realm, superior to the abstract. That neshama is capable of getting involved, of being mislabish. Gam bedover she'ene b'erech klal. Even in something like the guf of she'ene b'erech klal that is totally out of proximity, out of reach. We cannot correlate the two. Like the guf and nefesh habahamis. And the principle in this is the shamali is movdal because it is movdal. Movdal is the pshat. As for example, we say always light, though the sunlight illuminates the world, the light does not, and it mislabish in the world, makes it the whole world lit up, but and yet it remains aloof. It is not. It doesn't. The light, if light shines on garbage, it doesn't become dirty. And this is why it can actually be everywhere. The neshama, because it is inherently movdo, it is in its own realm, its own domain. That's what called it's an atzmi. Therefore, it can be mislabish in the goof. Mislabish in the goof in means not it becomes part and parcel of the goof, but it guides the goof. It gives guidance to the goof. And it subjugates the goof. It forces the goof to follow a certain direction. This makes me slabbish. It is capable of doing that. Okay. So there are 2 points. First of all, it can be mislabish because it itself does not get affected by it.
What is it? Nefesh Bahamas?
That's not nefesh on the keys. Some shom. Okay, we go a little further, and then we go. And because the neshama is in essence goveya above the whole phenomenon of guf and nefesh bahamas, ubiprat, and then particularly, moreover, the most important aspect, shemushresh as be'atzmus, that it is rooted in atzmus. In other words, there are 2 specific, 2 particular inyonim that come into function over here. The neshama itself, the inyan of the neshama, and mushreshes be'atzmus. Please. The neshama itself is moved in Iyar. It will not get contaminated by being in the guf and nefesh bahamas. Okay, it will not be contaminated. But the guf and nefesh bahamas will do its own thing, and the neshama will be with them. So he says no. But then there is another aspect. Because it is rooted in atzmus. We already discussed the Yom Mishreshes, and we'll review it slightly in a moment. This is why the neshama is capable of affecting habitul, the element of bitul, gam b'yesh v'chumri gasha. Even in yesh v'chumri, in the coarsest aspect of gashmas, because it is rooted in atzmus. The inyan of atzmus, as I mentioned many times, this is not something that we can actually define in a worldly sense. The one point is, atzmus is reality itself. Reality itself nullifies anything else. This is reality itself. Everything has its own interest. The atzmus, this is the where everything becomes bottled in the presence of atzmus. Like, for example, what the example that we have, so to speak, in our realm, we say that in the presence of the king, there is no difference between the highest minister and the simplest soldier. Everyone, the highest minister, the simplest soldier, everyone in between, has an identity. This is my function, this is my function, this is my talent, it's my ability. The king is outside of that realm completely. The king is the one that gives the whole country a presence, a name. And therefore, in comparison, or from that vantage point, everything is bottom. This is why the neshama, because it's mushrash in atzmus. Again, the principle of mushrash, as we discussed many times, mushrash means not that it's rooted and it comes from there, but it represents that. Let's make mushrash. This is what it stands for. Like, we give the example, I think we discussed it recently. A tree is rooted in the ground, and then it grows into a big tree, and it produces fruit. What does this fruit represent? The tree, the wood of the tree, or the earth? So even though, yes, it goes through a process and becomes a tree, and you can, the earth, the roots are hidden underneath the earth, you can't even tell. But that is the real thing. The ability and the spirit, the koyach halaki to produce fruit is in the earth, not in the tree. And that remains unaltered, no matter how great the tree develops. So it always represents that element and that truth of the earth. This is the pshat. The neshama is mushrish be'atzmos. Therefore, whatever the neshama is, what is its statement? What is it? What statement does it mean by its presence? I'm smart and I'm good, I'm bright? No. Its statement is that the atzmos, which is represented by the principle we discussed several times. You daven, and there's a whole preparatory part of the davening. The brachas and Psukkah de Zimun and Birchas Krishma and Krishma, Mesiras Nefesh. All that is wonderful. All that is an expression of the neshama. Shemoneh Esrei is not an expression of the neshama. Shemoneh Esrei is a statement of its inherent truth, which is deeper, standing steadfast in front of the king. This is Shemoneh Esrei. Almost motionless, and whispering some words, and as I said, we may not even pay attention to what we say. But the whole phenomenon of standing like that is a cognizance of the godly reality, not of the godly goodness and greatness. And this reality, this is what we say. You provide wisdom. You provide, you bless the ears. You secure us in the golus. All the various things that we say in Shemoneh Esrei. In other words, our whole entire being is captured in that situation. This is why the neshama is capable of affecting the bitul. Here we come with a certain degree of clarity of the significance of the phenomenon of bitul. Normally we say bitul, don't be a balgaiva. Here we're talking about a different kind of bitul. Gaiva is simply an ugly and a stupid midah. But bitul is a completely different thing. Bitul means that what I have is what you make of me, not what I am. That's bitul. And this is the principle of atzmos, because atzmos means everything. Like I said, the melech is everything. To explain the Chassidus, there was the Uriah Achiti. There was an interchange between David and Uriah Achiti. When he said to David, who was the king, he expressed himself in a certain way that seemed to seem to equate, I seem to distinguish between in front of the king, seems to distinguish between the five-star general and the soldier. That already was considered is an element of lack of beat. This is what is the meaning of what the Zohar says in Pashas Bolok. Shom. We quoted earlier Zohar. Kafe sitrach is sal gekol kutz brio bekol hoam. Yishna chochma sichmus. Yishna chochma sichmus. Okay. So the Zohar says over there, the Yisrael natli asiyah. That Yisrael they embarked on the union of asiyah. Asiyah means the level of deed, action, asiyah. The yad leyosi Yisrael, which means that as long as Yisrael did not come and did not take their position, Hainu koi the Matan Torah, which is before the Matan Torah. So Yisrael were not fully identified in the world. Malachi Meremo. So then Malachi Meremo, the Malachim from above, Havo Avdi. Havo Avdi v'Shalmei Asiyah. They did, and they completed the Inyan Asiyah. The Kadosi Yisrael, and when Yisrael came, Natli Inun Asiyah, they took over the aspect of Asiyah. Shenemar, and the Pasuk says, Yiberei Keach Eisei Dvorei. Yiberei Keach Eisei Dvorei. Those who are strong of power. Giberi actually means, Giberi does not mean only strong. Giberi means fearless. Oise Dvorei, who do his bidding, his words. The Hodar, and then afterwards, Lishmoya Bekol Dvorei. Lishmoya Bekol Dvorei means to listen to the voice of his speech. But as a result of Torah, they have the ability to fulfill his dvorei, and then Torah gives him Lishmoy B'chil Dvorei. What is but before that it was Malach. Okay, now what is this Asiyah referred to? Asiyah means subjugation, forcing the action. Like we said before, the infant is kafi. Because in Malachim there is also k'tzaz birur, some aspect of birur, of cleansing, of clarification. Shaharei yesh lahem gamkin bigufi. Since that the Malachim also have a gufi. They also have bodies. Ukmesha Kosam, as the Pasuk says, Ois Malach of Ruches. Malachim are made from Ruches. It says that the bodies of the Malachim consist of two elements rather than of four. The bodies lie here below have four elements: Eish, Ruach, Mayim, Ofer. And Malachim have their gufim are made of the two finer, higher elements of Eish and Ruach. Eish Malach of Ruach is Mishos of Eish Loyet. So therefore, there is also an element of a goof and a nefesh. So there is also an element of birur. However, habirur shalahem, the birur as is applied by the malachim, einay birur v'shimur min haram. It's not a from birur v'shimur of safeguarding against evil. They don't have an element of evil. What then is the union from birur haguf? Kiyim b'bchinas aliyah. What there is in the birur of the guf is b'bchinas aliyah, the aspect of rising upwards. The kasher oili mimadreyo madreyo, that as the malachim also rise from madreya to madreya. As the malachim rise from madreya to madreya, harin asa his dachus haguf shalahem, that affects his dachus haguf, the refinement of their bodies. Bezehu oisei dvorim. And they say from oisei dvorim, they fulfill his words, which means shuini hatikum. This is the tikkun where the gufim reach a higher perfection. Tikkun, as we discussed when we talk about tikkun of Shabbamis, tikkun means that the guf becomes more like the nefesh, like the neshama. This is the more the guf is refined, the more sensitive, and the neshama, the more transparent it becomes the neshama. Avol, but kadosu Yisrael. When Yisrael came, not liasiyah, they completely appropriated, so to speak. They took over the from Asiyah. What is the pshat? B'chinas birur v'tikun hora mamash. Because their Asiyah engages in birur, in clearing off and tikkun and perfecting hora mamash, the actual evil itself, the opposition. B'nefesh habamis, in the nefesh habamis, or b'dvorim atachtonim hagashmiyim. Yeah.
I'm stuck a little bit on the previous thing. I don't know if I skip. In other words, the whole idea of, no, it was the etzma of the nefesh, famous lavish.
Okay, let's see let me just finish the sentence over here. Let's just continue on. The whole thing gets summarized here. The neshamas, they affect b'dvorim atachtenim hagashmi. They actually are able to be mevarer and perfecting. Perfecting, as we mentioned before, it means bringing the lower aspect, the gashmim, to the level of the higher. By Iskafia, the Gashmi represents exclusively the higher. Like, for instance, we say that what is the significance of a Dover Gashmi? It is a fact that through Gashmis you can do a mitzvah. This is the whole thing of the Dover Gashmi. And when you do a mitzvah, that brings the Gashmi to its fulfillment, to its perfection. This is what it's about. Shezehu b'koyach hanshomes dafko. This ability to be mevarer haramamosh, the actual evil that's contained in nefesh habahamis, and the evil that's contained in dvorim tachtenim gashmiyim. This is b'koyach hanshomes dafko. This is the capability of the neshamas exclusively. Mitzad ma'aloson b'shorshon, because of their particular supremacy, b'shorshon, in their source, u'mekoiron ho'atzmi, and their essential root, u'mamshichim al yodom b'chinas asmus insert. And then, until probably a zayin ali lezeh, and then thereby they are mamshich the bechina of asmus insert. Just a very quick statement, and then we'll continue the mission tonight. When the neshama is doing its birur in the nefesh abamis and in the guf, its aim is that the nefesh abamis and the guf should fulfill the command, like I said, Ma'aseh she'omer shebashmayim gozer alai. It should fulfill the command that comes from that comes from Atzmus. On what basis? How does the guf get to obey, and Nefesh Abamis get to obey this command? So you would say, oh, because the neshama forces it. How does the neshama force it? The neshama forces it by bringing the guf and the Nefesh Abamis face to face with Atzmus. Get the point? By Malachim, it says Malachim because of their beetle. We don't have much time, just one. Malachim because of their beetle. Sometimes they speak. They speak as if the Rebbe himself is speaking. Like it says by Yachim, "Be nish baite in Hashem, be nish baite." I've sworn. They don't say the Rebbe said, but they say be. And I can do this because they represented they're represented beetle to Atzmus. They're beetle to Atzmus, and they represent only the beetle element. They don't break the etzem itself in as a presence. The neshamis, they represent the actual presence of Atzmus, not the message, the mission of Atzmus, because they are Atzmim themselves. Let us take perhaps an analogy. I said we'll complete its mission tonight. Neshamis are called avodim, and neshamis are also called bonim. What's the difference between bonim and avodim? Avodim are completely bottled to the melech. But bonim, this is the melech. This is why the neshamis are able to bring the nefesh abamis and the guf to this level of beating, because they bring the melech himself to the presence of the guf and nefesh abamis. Then, when the melech himself is present, everything gets bottled.
Everything gets.
Huh?
Everything gets.
It's bottled. As long as you speak in terms of Edelkeit, quality, be human, be good, be smart, all of that, yes, Nefesh Abamis hears it, it has intelligence, but it can also ignore it. But when it faces with the Atzmus, then everything becomes incorporated. It's a reality itself. Okay, our time is up for now. So Mishum, tonight we will discuss this a little bit more.
Thank you.
Be well, have a great day. Okay, tonight is Thursday night. Oh boy. And I think I have a minute. I take 5.